You're good. All right. I'm gonna follow along the live stream as well with you guys. Communicate with you, everyone here. Started. So FL20, pretty much a pretty simple DAW to use. Now, when it comes to more complicated things, it can do that. We're not gonna get into some crazier stuff of FL this session, but we will in further sessions. But this session is meant to clarify anything that you might not understand of FL. Make sure you have a solid base of understanding how FL works, that when you move forward, you're not confused. First thing we're going to do is make a house beat. Simplest thing to do. And I mean, open up FL, this is the first thing you see. Really easy to get in here. Now, what you see that I'm doing here is actually using a step sequencer. Now, step sequencers were very popular back in the day. Artifacts like drum machine, wow, and eventually, Imagine did was they embedded this technology, the sequencer, into software, and they took advantage of that and made FL Studio. So this was the first little module that was FL Studio, sequencer right here, and you can go up to, I believe, 128 steps. You drag this out, but inside of the piano roll, once you get inside the piano roll, you can make a whole track at one sequence. Now, the way I pull up all my modules, my sequencing, my playlist, my piano roll, my mixer is up here. So you saw that my step sequencer moved away, so I can just click on the step sequencer button right here, or F6. Now, all my shortcuts are over here, so it's a pretty simple DAW to start using. But it's very user friendly. Look up here, all our windows. Now, once we have this pattern done, you can brush it, the playlist, play it back. Now, notice how over here, when I switch from pattern to song mode, I can actually throw arrow shines over here, which means that now I'm playing back what's in my arrangement window. Now, how do I get this this beat to break down into little pieces? Well, I can go up here to my pattern picker. I'm on pattern 1 right now, and right click on it. I can select split by channel. So now my kick drum, clap, my hi-hat, my snare, all on their own channels. I'm going to go ahead and delete all this by right clicking, dragging. That it's super easy to delete. Again, brush with left, right click and drag to delete. You can also see that all your shortcuts over here with FL Studio, every single thing you need to know, shortcuts. So right here, when you right click on a device property, edit, and right click on it, and you have options right, which is very handy. You can also do that with patterns, with channels over here. Very simple to use. But now that we have our individual tracks selected, you can start putting, let's say, the kick on the 9th bar, brush it in. We'll make sure that my quantize is set to bar instead of quarters, that when I grab something, paste it runtime. I'm gonna grab the hi-hat, paste it again, grab that snare, and also do. So now when we're playing back, only our clap and our hi-hat playing together. So and just keep in mind that the last thing you grab, touch, but it's gonna be copy and pasted. Yet. You can also select by pressing Control, left click and drag, press Control B to duplicate things. Now, one thing that I really like above all else in FL Studio is the fact that I can edit these sequences inside of the playlist, which is pretty cool. Which means that I don't have to go and rearrange things back inside the channel rack. I can actually treat my patterns, my MIDI as if it were audio. So if I press the cut tool over here, press C, I can slice this right here, slice this here as well. So I have a little, so I can make a little a different pattern or a different playback. I just grab these guys, delete them, select them, paste them over here. We'll grab the clap, make sure I have two claps right there. So now when I have when this plays back, I'm gonna have a little variation in my beat. Very simple to use. You can even grab these guys, let's say, press Control G, and make a new pattern out of them. So now you see that this is hat 1, and this is hat number 2. So now this is its own pattern. And if I go up to my pattern picker, here, I can go to this, right click on it. I see here that I have my hat. Over here I have my hat too. Here I have my hat. Okay. Clap. And over here I have my individual audio parts. They also live over here as well, so you can just grab them straight from here and drag them over here if you'd like to do that. Just different workflows. Again, FL's a very, very, very big DAW that has many different ways to do things. So it's clear and it's important to show you guys clearly where you can bring things in, how you do things, and the multiple different. So now that we have that done, what I want to do next is bring in another instrument. Now, again, we can do this in various different ways. We can either go to our channel rack, right click here, and you'll see that all my instruments, at least my favorite ones, came out over here. I can also left click and just get a list of things. So this right clicking is a little bit more visual. Right clicking is more of a list. You could also go up here, the plugin picker, and use the left click. Now you can see all your plugins. Grab it and drag it into my mixer right here. And what that will do is, let's say I put it on mixer number 5, it will hard link instrument track right here, this number right here, and the mixer. Whereas if I bring it in from this side right here, grab that same guy, get in there. This guy doesn't have any number yet. So now when it plays back, it goes straight to my master channel. If I go over here to this guy, coming out of track number 5, I could also do also grab this guy and put it straight on track number 6. And what that will do is hard link it to track number 6 in the playlist. So now this track right here is only going to be played out on track number 6, and vice versa. Anything that comes out of this guy is going to be hard linked here. So what this means is that you have the option to, like in other DAWs, traditional DAWs, where you have audio and instruments hard linked to a mixer track, but you also have the option not to do that. Most people traditionally do not use that feature simply because FL has always been very fluid DAW, and this is a newer feature, but it's right there and you can use it. So let's go ahead and start putting in some chords in here. And to put in chords, actually, I'd rather use a piano instrument. So I'm gonna get rid of that guy and press F8 to open up my plugins again. And I'll grab a piano. I really like this piano from Piano Tech. It sounds very realistic, and it's not a contact library, so it doesn't take hours to load, and it sounds very, very good actually. Physically modeled piano. Now, go ahead and make some chords. And either I can record them in here. I'm not that good of a player, so I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna torture you guys with that. But if you wanted to, you could also do that. So you just have to press this red button over here, and then you have to select everything. So it gives you options to record audio, MIDI. We're gonna select everything, so it captures anything we play back. So now when we, let's say, play back those chords and play along with this, I'm gonna count myself 2 bars. Select record. Or enable the track. Need to do that because it's MIDI. And then on the counter, And right there you have the MIDI right there. Of course, there's some delay because I'm using OBS, so can't really play anything in time. So let's grab that chord in here. Now, to write music inside of a studio, very, very cool because there's a bunch of these helpers that Imogen has created. And what these helpers do is not box you a certain way to create melody, but they help you create a melody or create a certain progression. So let's go ahead and quantize these guys for little Q. Now what I'll do is go up here, my little arrow right here, those helpers go highlighting. Now check this out. This is very, very cool. Right now I can select a different key I want to move to. I like to write an E, so I'll keep it in E, but I can choose a bunch of these scales. See that? Anything from major, low Korean, to Neapolitan minor, Dorian. It's a very, very, very vast scale feature. Now, I like to write in Aeolian, minor, or Arabic. So those are the ones up here. I'm gonna go with Aeolian. See that I did my first chord, which is minor. Press Alt, right click. We listen to music sounding like, or your chord is sounding like. And you can also use a stamper tool. Now the stamper tool over here lets you create chords automatically. So let's say I want another major. Let's say I want a major chord. Put it up here. Right. If I want a minor chord, come up here and minor. Paste it over here. Go with minor. And with B. So the other cool thing is, again, since you can see the scales that you're in, you get a little bit more experimental. So let's go with B. D. There. That's more of a diminished. Go ahead and play this back. Back to the pattern mode. Now with this guy, I'm actually going to bring it down. Once you use G. I'm going to grab this guy, bring it down. And what I also love about FL is that even though I use a stamper tool, I'm actually able to go back into the individual notes and edit them later. Other programs or other pieces of software don't really let you do that. Okay, I'm gonna grab this, drag it out to 2 bars each. A bit longer playback, but I wanted to back with it. Now we bring this back to a W, I mean to the arrangement. Oh, it's funny. It thinks build a harmless pattern. Let's press F4 to create a new pattern. Press that. Go right here and paste this. And I'm gonna just paste this around. And the next thing I'm gonna do is create a melody, right? So I'm gonna use a synth for this guy for the top melody. And what I'll do is I'll just grab Yuki Diva. I really like how these plugin sounds. Fantastic. The default preset's a little bit short. Let me. Alright, cool. So now I can go back to my playlist and notice when I'm inside Eva, edit the primary melody, I have these chords in the background. The way I enable that by coming up here to view and selecting for helpers instead and selecting ghost channel. You can also do editable ghost. It means that you can change other instruments, other MIDI that you have in other channels while you're in another one. Very, very cool. And again, you can either go up here to helpers and see it, or you can press the shortcut. And I really like that FL gives you the shortcut right there, so you can Control Alt V for that. Now, when I try to grab that, it doesn't let me do that. But if I press Control Alt V again, I have access to it. Cool. Let's go ahead and create a melody. Go down an octave. And notice how sometimes the problem with the editable notes is that you try to write something down and things you're trying to edit the other notes. So you gotta go back and Control Alt D, get rid of that. Now you can put this down. Excuse my CPU. Quick tip: if you want to lower your CPU settings, I don't see a lot of people doing this, but you can also go to Project, Time-Based PQQ, and lower this down to 24, 48, and this should significantly improve your. Quick tip for any of you guys who are using FL on lower spec laptops, you can still get pretty good mileage if you lower that. Now, what the PQQ is showing you how detailed automation. Look right here. I'm not even going to try to hum this because I am terrible at humming. Can't even do that to save my life, but go ahead and start it down. Yeah, something. I'm going to try and repeat kind of what I did over here, so I'm going to copy and paste this over here. Now, if you want to get more detailed with your notes and how long they are, go up here and select half step. Drag these out a little bit. I feel they're really short. Sometimes when I'm having a harder time writing things down, what I'll do is I'll write the ending, the actual melody, and sometimes that makes it easier to write things down. So let's go to E, turn it in on E. Bring this back to B. Now let's just gotta fix up the middle part right here. That little part is messing with me, but let's leave it at that, and let's continue with the next part of the workflow, which is the mixing part. Now, we already set up that here inside of the channel rack. That's where we put our instruments. That's where we also write our MIDI for the piano roll and for the drums, and then we put this on the arrangement window, which is like you call the playlist. And after that, what ends up happening is that this MIDI ends up triggering parts over here, right? So when the kick is playing, it triggers this over here. And what that means is that whatever number this guy's at, wherever it's coming out of the mixer. So now, what I can do is change the level of things. Start adding effects. So let's go ahead and press F8 to add an effect. Let's add a reverb. Add a fruity reverb here. On side of that plugin. See that we have a mix knob right here to fade it in. So if you want parallel compression or parallel processing, let's say I had this guy at 100% wet. You can use this knob right here to mix things in. So that's one way to do it. Another way to add effects here is using send channels, which is more of a proper way to do sends effects like reverb and delay. The way we do this is very, very simple. Just select a track. It could be any track right here. And what you want to do is right click on it, like dock. Now this is, the first part is more of an organizational thing. Let's dock it to the right. Now you'll see that little track was added over here. Let me make this a bit bigger, a bit wider. Yeah, this track number 18 got sent to right side of my mixer. Like I have my master channel right here. I have a right channel over here. Now, right here, you can add more guys. So let's add more guys. Select dock to right. You'll see that they're all docked right here now. So now what we want to do is make sure that these guys are not bussed to anywhere except master, which in this case they are. A good thing. Now the next thing I want to do is grab one of these plugins and send a signal over here by going to this little arrow. You see this? That little arrow. Click on it. Get a fade knob right here, or a level knob. And this lets you send level to the actual plugin. So let's add to this channel 18. Let's add a reverb plugin. I really like this LX480, so go ahead and add it there. Mix it in. Let's do the same for the piano. Let's send it to the the reverb bus right there. Now let's try to be a little bit organized. The way you color code and write things inside of the mixers and FL is simply by right clicking, pressing R. Same thing. Let's call it a reverb bus. Here and like green. Bam, we have it right there. It's nicely color coded. We can see, we don't even need to read the label. We can just see that it's green, so it's a reverb bus. I can select if I want to fade it to the level. Bring it up. I can also automate this, so it's very, very helpful to have this on the send bus. Let's add a delay. Actually, let me show you a cool trick. You can right click on things, open mixer presets. So once you have developed enough, you can actually open up mixer presets. I'm going to go ahead and open up my 16 presets for a ping pong quarter delay. So this end has a segment, a delay unit. There's also stock delay in Audio, which we can also use. There's EQ on it, and there's also a limiter just in case I want to sidechain things. The free limiter also doubles as a compressor, by the way. Who I've never used it before. It's not just a limiter. So let's go ahead and send the diva here. And now there's a couple things that we need. We need more level of the master. Really easy way to achieve that is using the Maximus. Is FL Studio's multiband compressor plugin. At least it's biggest multiband compressor plugin. Other guy who's a little bit smaller, a little bit older. This guy's a pretty huge plugin. You can got 3 bands to compression. You can also do distortion with it if you want, and then you have a master bus on it. Right now, I'm only going to be engaging the master bus, so I'm going to go ahead and add some pre-gain to it. You can also add some saturation if you like. So you set a ceiling and a threshold. I'm actually going to take it off the master bus because I see that I'm getting some sequence right now with the live stream, of course. But let's go ahead and run through this without that, unfortunately. Now, but what we can do though, now that we have this, is add a bassline. So you can literally just grab the bass from the right here, exit, and actually add a bass. Go to our browser. Now the browser, it's at FL Studio, is where we find all our samples, all our presets, all our VSTs. That's where it's housed. It's basically how you connect FL Studio to the outside world, which is either your file manager, your file manager with your sample libraries, with your contact libraries, etc. Now let's go ahead and text preset. Preset generators, wrapper, and you'll see that here the free wrapper can house presets from other synths. Open up my supplier bass set, and we can do a whole different live session about being organized and whatnot. But here, how we start: press B, add this in here. Now notice how this preset is well, these notes are too high for the preset, but I can just press Control A to select all my notes, press Control down to bring them down. Do that again so I can actually get some more harmonics out of this. Now, I don't want this to be playing like this at all the whole time. So what I'll do is I'll bring this back down, select this, enter to make my playlist large, grab this guy, have repeat selected. I'll create a different rhythm line. And now what I can do is have that bass line imitate what my top line is doing. So what I'll do is, when it's playing longer notes, I'll have it play longer notes. I'll just grab that first guy, I'll copy it over A and G. And then we can quickly check up here with going to the other piano roll. I'm gonna grab that bass and drag it to the mixer, number 9. And now it's very loud, so let's bring it back down. I'm gonna grab that bass line, put it up an octave, because I'm gonna add a sub bass line. This is just to keep it powerful in the mid range, but then actually add some a different instrument. And the instrument that I really like using for that is Citrus, because it's a FM synthesizer, a very powerful synth, but it also has a very clean engine for doing these type of things. So I'm just copy this guy, paste it, and notice how we just start off with literally just a sine wave. Let me show you guys with the wave candy. Now this is an analyzing plugin. We love it. Yeah, we have one harmonic playing right there. What I'll do now is, instead of going and changing the notes there, I'll go to my operator inside Citrus, bring this down to 1, 5, bring down the 4 octaves. Now we're just having playing sine waves, very low end register. I'll bring this into my session, put it on track 10. Now it's playing sine wave over there, and when you put it together with the other bass line, you get the best of both worlds. You got to have the punchiness of the original bass, but also add some subbiness to it. All right, so, and you could also now start adding effects to that bass line. So you can add a little bit of reverb, and for that, let's actually grab a smaller reverb. Grab the reverb, put it on another send channel. Make this size a lot smaller. The decay of roughly 0.3 seconds. Let's send it here. And now you have you put some reverb on your bass, but not on your sub. That's very cool to, and very important to keep everything clean in the low end. Now again, I don't want all my tracks coming in at the same time, playing together at the same time. Let's grab that bass, and let's put it make sure it comes in at the bar number 9, not beginning the track. Let's go back to the mixer track, right click and split by channel. So now I have my piano tech, Eva, my Spire, bass, and delete this guys over here. Now let's grab the bass lines, put them in over here. Control B. Then we'll do the same thing with these guys. Control B, right there. Now the piano wanted to be a lot deeper, so I press Control A, bring down 2 octaves. And remember how we added that small chamber reverb? We can also do that with the hi-hat. Let's add the right hi-hat reverb and the clap as well. You see, we did a pretty decent track in under, I think, 30 minutes, and I explained everything, all the steps, every step of the way. So this should take you guys a lot less time, probably maybe 10 minutes or less to do all this. FL Studio is a very powerful synthesized synth program. So this is the basis. This is where you understand how FL works, and then we'll take other steps from here. But this was the first baby step per se to understanding it. And now we're going to go and do something a little bit different. We're going to learn plugins that are included inside FL Studio, which are FPC and the slicer. SliceX, my bad. I keep calling it slicer, the old 4D slicer. But we're going to go ahead and learn those guys. Let's save this project just in case we want to use it a little bit later. Let's save as. Okay. Go to Documents. Data. Now, being organized is very important. It's a whole that's a whole class on its own, to be honest. But I pretty much have everything down to a T. So March 2019. All this video. Yep. Now we have the FOP saved. You can also zip this up. As zip this, and what the zipping will do is make sure that all the samples that we use are together. So let's say you're working with a buddy and you want to share the project with them. You zip it, and when you zip it, you get access to all the individual files. So let me just show you that real quick. That's a very important thing if you're going to be. You can press right click on the zip file, extract all, extract. Going here, you see that there's a clap, a hi-hat, the kick in this project that we use. And if you as you keep adding more samples and instruments in there, they're all going to be contained there. Then exporting, super easy. Just like the range, what you want to export, select file, export, WAV file, MP3 file, OGG file. So we're typically only going to use WAV file or MP3 file. Let's go WAV file right now. Save this. Now you can select a couple different settings. You can select the bit depth, how you want to render it, stereo, how much quality, sampling quality you want. You can also select split mixer tracks. So let's say you want to render out tracks as stems. You can select the split mixer tracks, and it will all be exported as stems. You could also remove all the insert effects, or you could also remove any master effects you might have. So whenever you're going to send your session out to a mixing engineer, you typically want to have a clean signal. So you can remove the insert effects and master effects and select the split channel, split the mixer tracks, and bam. You can send them all right there. You can send the markers and the tempo information. So for example, if you have your track in 3/4 time or another time signature, you can have it there in the session, or whatever part stick to that session, and then get out and out to the world. I'm not going to render it right now because it messes with the live stream. So Gonna keep that like that. And now let's move on to what I mentioned, or touch on the FPC and the SliceX. So let's open up new track, actually my starting template. And this looks completely different from the grayed out FL Studio that has all the tracks empty. Very different. This is how I feel comfortable in, because I developed my own system of making that works for me. And right, so here we have. Let me just run through this really quick so you guys don't get confused. Essentially, what I have is all my kicks right here in yellow, all my snares in orange, my drums in brown, my sub elements violet, my bass in purple, my pads in another lesser tone of purple, synths in orange, leads in green, acoustic instruments in yellow, vocals in this aqua color, and then I have effects in white, gray, and then over here I have my sense effects. I have my ping pong delay, tape delay, quarter note delay, triplet delay, drum room, small reverb, medium reverb, larger reverb, and a chorus. And of course, I have a master. I have actually a pre-master before going to my master. So all these tracks, all these buses go to the master before master, and then I have my master with usually just analyzer effects, and in this case, room correction. Works. Let's delete that. Works, guy. Now, here that I have also the same thing going on with my playlist. The exact same thing. I have the kicks in, snares in red, etc., etc., and it's all meant to match my mixer. That's just how I feel comfortable working. But it was just important to show you guys this, because as we keep on working together, you guys are probably gonna be like, "Why does he have that type of that display like that?" So that's how I like to work. But let me open up the FPC. Now the FPC works really like the MPC. The FL Studio is at least software emulation of it, but I can do a lot more things that the FPC can. It can have multiple samples on one single pad, and you can add a ton of them. So go ahead and simple. You can go to packs presets, samples, wherever you have your samples up. Here's some loops. And layer these kick drums in here. So now you can hear both of these kick drums coming out of this single pad. You can even add another one, and so on and so forth. You can even add, I believe, up to 8 of these at a time. And once you get to past 4, a little sliding menu right here will show up. Now you can mix these together, because right now we're clipping. So you can have one playing at one time and the other one's turned down. There's that second one we dragged in. The first one you dragged in. Here's the other one. And each one of them has its own attack, decay, sustain, release. You want one of them to be really punchy, but then you want to have the body of another one and remove the attack of that guy, have the body play. It's very, very cool. You could also pan them left and right. You can also change the tuning of them. You can change the sample start time and sample end time. You could also give some envelope to the panning. If you want things to go from left to right throughout time, you can pan them as well. And you can even edit this in Edison. Let's zero these fades out, numbers out. Go back to number 1. So let's say we didn't like the mud in that guy. We can edit this in Edison. And go to the EQ, remove the low end, everything be 400 hertz. Have this, drag it back into the sample right here. Bam. Have that guy right there, and I can mix this in with the other. I think that was a bit thicker. Cool. So those are the basic principles of each pad. You have a total of 32 pads in here. You could also house MIDI inside of this plugin. So if we go to presets over here, you see I have a ton of different kits. Say let's go for an 808 kit, and all these tracks have been color coded and whatnot. But you also have this option right here for MIDI loops. So let's go overhead over here, pop loops, L to go to the pattern mode. Let's slow down my tempo because that's quite a bit quick. And then you see how the MIDI is changing. So this FPC is controlling sending MIDI to the playlist. Go ahead and click the new guy. Now, most of the samples here in the FEC are pretty clean. They're pretty stock. So if I go to the 909 and select a house template, you'll be able to listen that they sound pretty much like the stock version of the original drum machine. Similarly, if you go to the rock kit or to a jazz kit, then notice how it's taking a little bit of time to open up the samples because it has to switch for it. There, it's done. Over to jazz. And again, this would be a lot slower. Not 10, but you just play around with the different MIDI loops that come, because there's a ton of them. And then you just go through them. Let's say you're writing a song, you can select which loops you like, and then edit them further. And then you can even load your own samples on here. Just replace the guys that are in here, and have a pretty versatile plugin that can let you either do a little really simple sound design, but also organization wise, this plugin's a winner. So this is the FPC right here, and the kit I made for this is a trap kit. I made this specific with this line, right? So there's that kit I made. We'll use that later down the road. But let's open up this other guy over here, which is a slice set. Now the cool thing about the Slice X is that its audio engine works through Edison. So when you grab a layer, loop, you bring it in here, it automatically chops everything up depending on where the transient is. You can zoom in, just your mouse up, scroll up, and scroll down and zoom in. Now, any of these markers with the MIDI controller, and you can also sequence them here. See how all these are made? Let me grab a first bar right here and start making a new loop with this. change the length of this. Add more hits. You can start making new loops, new edits to what you already have. And not only that, but you can actually export all these hits and put them on another FPC. So let me open up another FPC. Grab samplers in there. Now to make sure that both of my plugin windows are open, I can select detached, attach the FPC, and grab the SliceX and detach it as well. And now what I want to do is just grab one of, say, find a kick drum. Mount. See right there, highlighted. So let's zoom in on it. Let's select it. Now I can grab this right here. Let's select it in red. And if I just drag copy button over here all the way in the left or right, and grab it and drag it to the FPC. And I can just the declicking out here. But I have no. Oh. Or very much if I find that it's clicking right there because it's not sampled correctly, not zeroed out, create a fade. Or I can declick. Declicking makes the fade a lot quicker. So that's what I recommend doing. I'm gonna get rid of this guy. Here. Drag this guy back in. Now I don't have that click at the very end. Okay. And then I can keep on searching for samples here. They're right there. Grab it. And as I mentioned earlier, you can even grab this whole kit and render out as wave samples. Grab this guy, drag it in here. And now you can start constructing kit. Let's grab another hi-hat. Here. Play this loop again. Now let's say you want to filter out that hit at the beginning. You can select it. Notice how whenever I touch one of these markers, this guy changes right here. Right? Sends it to another marker. So I'm going to select marker 1 right here. And I'm going to go to my articulator. And I have 8 articulators. Now what the articulator is a set of parameters that I can edit, which is panning, volume, cutoff frequency, resonance, speed, and start time. And all these parameters have envelope, LFOs, velocity settings, mod X, mod Y, and random. So if I go back to, and what I'll do is go to the cutoff. I'll select it to -1. And I'll have a filter, resonance, and an envelope right here, or envelope amount. I'll set it right here. So I'm only getting the bottom end of the actual kick. And I do want to get some of that high end, but I only want to get it at the very beginning of the hit. So what I'll do is I'll enable this envelope over here and drag in the sustain a little bit, so that I'm only getting the clicky part of the kick. So turn that off. There's the kick without the click. There's a kick with the click of the hi-hat. I can even lower down the envelope soften this up, or I can increase it to make it more present. So I like it where it sits right there. I can also put an envelope on the resonance, volume as well. So if the kick is not chunky enough, what I can do, grab this envelope, lower it, but then rise it. Then what I can do, my amp, now what I can do is once I'm processing this out later, I can just increase the level of it, and the bottom end will be much louder. If you see the waveform right here, not a very subby kick like an 808, dies out pretty quickly. So when you do this right here, you can export it, and it'll be much clearer. Now there's other settings down here. Well, there's cut tools, there's normalize tools, centering tools, reversing tools. Let's say I want to reverse this. I can go ahead and do that. I can also add reverb. Gotta make sure I have that area selected. Add the blur. Also add a convolution reverb. Accept it. Also an equalize as well. And then there's also drum looping, drum stretching. So you want to time stretch your drums before you export them. You can also do that. You can also view them in spectral view. So let's say you have you don't want to be looking at the waveforms when you're editing. You can quickly see that this right here is a kick drum. Also see here that this should be their snare drum, and over here when we have the hi-hats by themselves. Very easy to view things like this instead of the spectral view. Again, go up to this eye drop right here, like spectrum. Sorry, a little bit sick, but yeah. So that's the way you can FPC and Slicex together. Again, the workflow is straightforward. Drag in a sample right here, the Slicex. Oh, by the way, you can do two loops at the same time. So you can swap between deck A and deck E. Put two different loops that sound completely different, put them together in Slicex, and trigger them both at the same time. Go ahead and play this back. Go ahead and go A, delete all this, and then send it back to the playlist. And of course, it's doing that little click right there at the beginning because there's no kick drum because we first reverbed it. But once you have whatever configuration set, you can save this as a preset. So for example, I have another track that I sampled, the Flume Never Be Like You track. I really liked it, and now I can have a kick drum, I believe. Wow, that was really distorted, my bad. Bring this master fader down. What I did was I grabbed on the kick, and then I filtered it down. because I really like the low end of that kick. You can filter it down to the point where you can no longer hear the vocal. Or you can find another one that's a better place. Again, we can go to the Spectrum tab. You can see where the kick drums are playing right here. Filter them out and make sure that we only have the kick drum. And then you can get the snare drums, the hi-hats from whatever other track you like. Make sure you don't get in trouble with that. But I mean, pop and dance music are based a lot on sax. So important to do this. And once you have that, you can have your favorite markers, save them and import them, or you can just play them like you can right here. I'm not gonna play that anymore because I don't want to get the video copyright stricken. But that's the main gist of how you work with these together. So let's go to the version. Well, after I did this, let me show you what was. Made a trap beat. Then I'll show you how quickly you have this workflow got to, down to the T. Very simple to use. Up another template of mine with the actual FPC beat that I made. Go. Go to pattern 1. And go to my audio settings and make sure that project is as PP possible. Go for settings too. And these are all coming from FPC. So let's open up a new pattern with the FPC in it. Do another beat from scratch. Guys, how easy it is once to all this. See, we have the array right here. Press L to go to the pattern mode. And once you got this down, very simple to. Give me a sec, I need some water. Sorry about that. Oof. Okay. I even have tears. I'm still kind of sick, but go on with this. We're almost done. We're just 10 minutes to go. Oof. Okay. So yeah, it's very simple to start making beats once you have that down. Over to triplets. Select Control B. quarter notes, right? Claps. And then you grab these guys and start making rolls with them. And make sure you go back to triplets. I'm going to do the same for all those guys right here. You can even zoom in more to add more quicker notation to them. And that's a short snare, so let's bring up the bigger snare up here. Now what I also did is that I made sure I layered multiple different versions of them. So if I go back to that short snare, I can mix in different versions of it. Now instead of having to drag a whole different sample in or search for another sample, I already have them loaded in my FPC and I can just swiftly move through them. And it just makes it quicker to work on music. But once I have that down, basic beat, add over here. Go ahead and go to the piano melody. A little bit too low. That's too quick for right now. Questions I have because I'm still a little bit. Right. Did the mic get lowered that much? Hello? That should be pretty good. It should still be lower than the music though. No, my voice should be on the same level. It's not that bad. So go ahead and continue with this thing. Grab some pads. We'll just make them play the F. some chords. And again, I can just change the, let's say I want to change my scale highlighting to Arabic. I can go ahead and do that. Bring this down. Bring that F sharp pad over here. Is up. Of course, the drums are a little bit quieter because the FPC has them all lower. And add synth. Actually, get rid of that piano. I'm not the biggest fan of it. We'll use that synth earlier today. Grab the notes. And I'm gonna go back to minor. E minor. Or that diva down in the mix. Change that to G. Roll in towards the hi-hat, the snare. Almost be done with this. And the kick. Let's play it back one more time. Oh man, it's the chord stamp. But I'll go over it again. But yeah, so you guys see, even though I was explaining things, I was able to still do things relatively quickly, a lot quicker than their DAWs. Yeah, I'll go over the chord stamp again. So open up the piano. I'm gonna press F4 to open up a new piano roll. Select, call it piano. Right click on it to open up the piano roll. If I go up here, if I click on it, there's a certain different chords I can select. I can select anything from augmented, fifths, majors, minors, minor sevenths, minor ninths, octaves, suspended seconds, fourths. I can also select the whole scale, so Arabic scales, Elodian scales. Okay, there's even stamp tools for percussions and also rolls, so that's actually pretty cool. Now, there's also an advanced tab right here, much more advanced stuff. Let's stick to the major and minor scales. So let's go minor, left E, drag this out. And I can stamp again and select the major chord. Now the way I know where to put this is because I have my helper selected under scale highlighting. I selected Aeolian, which is a minor scale of E. Now I could have just done this with a major as well, and now instead of using this guy, I'll just bring this guy back up, or I could have selected major, and now this guy's no longer, this G is no longer part of the scale. So now I know, okay, I need to select a minor, and let's use G sharp instead of the G, because it's no longer a scale of E minor or E major. So I have that, right? But I also have the option to use the seventh. So let's go major seventh. So then select major minor seventh over here for the E. I mean, sharp. Let's actually put this guy at the end of the bar, and grab another major seventh, and then I can see right here which guys fit into my scale and which guys do not, because they're not highlighted. Now, let's say a scale, a chord is very close to the I have already. I can just move one up, down, keep it in there, keep it in the key. Grab a major seventh, for minor, up it over, do a minor ninth this time. Drop this to the feather. Wow, that sounds bad. And actually, this should be an E, so I was wrong. Let's go again. So the stamper tool is a very, very useful when you want to start making chords. And you see here that I use the stamper tool and then put my own twist on it by changing the notes up a bit and making sure that at the end result was exactly what I wanted. Again, I could just switch these guys up however I want, which is, and again, I really like the fact that the stamper tool lets me not just have a, let's say, chord, but it lets me still edit it. And I think it's also a very helpful tool in case you want to learn music theory the non-conventional way. You can just select all these stamper tools and see what emotion they make you feel. And once you get used to the way some of these guys sound, then you can decide, all right, instead of using one of these guys, I'm gonna use this other guy. Let's get a diminished one. You can see that the diminished and the augmented have different tonality, so you can go ahead and play with them, see what suits you best. And the advanced tab has way crazier stuff, so let's just go into something right here. You see these are crazy. Yeah, so you can get very advanced with just using the stem. Drop an octave for which one? This guy here? Okay, now I'm going to be taking questions because we're pretty much done with everything I was going to teach you, so I'm going to open book right now. Ask questions. I have 9 people. Any of them. Yeah, you can just simply just grab one of these guys and bam. Sounds really, really cool. Thank you for saying that. So before we had this right here, it kind of sounds clogged up. So then when you raise them, like one of the guests suggested, sounds much it's much clear, much more open. It doesn't feel congested like I do right now. I'm still kind of stuffy from the flu I had last week. Someone mentioned earlier what wrapper does. Let's quickly go over the basic stuff of the free wrapper. Let's open up a harmless. Now the free wrapper is really what it is an interface. So an interface between channel and the actual VST itself. And let me open up a VST, external VST, like Spire. So when I click on this Fruity wrapper, you'll see that there's also a settings tool here. So for the settings tool, you can select if I want this to be a plugin VST, if there's any latency in the plugin, what MIDI input port, what MIDI output port. Oh my bad, I did a fail. But we can see what we can change. So if this is a native plugin, we want to open up the 32-bit version or the 64-bit version of the plugin. How we want the processing to be. So we want to have multi-threading processing available to that plugin. If you want to be notified about render mode, so if you're going to render this plugin or freeze a section of this that this plugin is playing, if it's going to be in high quality mode or low quality mode. So just keep it off. It usually just does a higher quality. And you can also select the connections. So side shading. Well, and over here you have these tools which are kind of FLE, really based and rooted in FL. You don't really find that in other DAWs, so let me go ahead and show you guys what that is. What I'll do is I'll grab those chords that we were using earlier, but grab this guy, bring down and bring up the second, third, like this thing. Oh, drop this and then I'll just create a block. That's some reverb. That's really corny, but this is funny. There you go. So let's open up the harmless again. Now there's a couple of these settings here that I can edit. There's a couple of little things I can add. So I can add arpeggios. I can add portamento, monophonic ness. If the plugin doesn't have a mono button on it, you can also do that through here. So let's do mono. So now instead of playing all the chords, it's just playing one at a time. This is really cool because some of the older plugins out there don't have a mono button, and you believe it or not, some people still make plugins that don't have a mono button. Don't know why, but you know, it is what it is. You also have a group. So when you're making drums, you don't want things to cut each other. I mean, overlap. So you can select, okay, I want group 9 or group 2 to cut group 2, or group 5 cut group 5. So now whenever that new kick drum hits, it's going to be stopping each other. So it's not going to be colliding into each other. It's going to be stopping. You can usually just select cut self and it will go to the next cut group. You also have pan, volume, mod X and mod Y. You have a portamento button, so if plugins that don't really have portamento, you can also do that. Also, when you trigger this arpeggio, because we have an arpeggio right here, you can tell it to be portamento as well. You also have a, or you could also do this in mono. There's also a time, so if you want to have a delay on this or swing. So let's say you're making drums and you're like, oh, I can never get the swing to be just right. You can select your swing up here, give it some swing, but then select the percentage of how much of this swing you want to have applied to this plugin right here. So let's say you want to have a kick drum that you don't want to have any swing, you bring this all the way down. Now this is not being affected by the swing up here. Bring this back down. And all those quantizing and all those features I'll cover in another class, because that's something for another day. There's also an echo and delay mode, which is kind of funny, but it used to be that people used to have use this delay as well. So let's turn off the reverb from the plugin. Usually this only works with audio, so if I go to my the kick drum, or this hit right here, if I do select the delay mode, this usually doesn't. The echo mode usually only works with audio. You can get some pretty cool effects with it. You can even do pitching, which I find very unique. Let's bring this up. Increase the feedback. Right there, it's pitching up, and if you bring this down, pitching down. So you can select the amount of echoes over here. So if you want 8, we'll do more than the standard 4. You can also select the time. So this is tempo synced, and you can also untempo sync it by time over here and make sure that it's not on time. Need some more water. Whew. Yes, sorry for the guys who are using headphones. I tried to have a limiter on this, and it was still loud. Yeah, I have the Pro over here, but yeah, that didn't also help. Yeah, that's that should be it for covering the actual wrapper itself. Oh, of course, there's presets and other save settings. So, for example, if you want to save a preset of this guy for the FL Stock plugins, what will happen is it will be saved under that's. So if I go to the harmonies right here and save this as call it Cordy or something, I go to generators, harmonious, that Cordy is here, like the Cordy, bam. That's still part of the wrapper settings because I can also do this with VST plugins. So let's say there's a VST plugin that you really like, but you absolutely hate the way. Sorry, I'm just like losing my voice. But say you don't like the way it saves presets. Fire's one of these guys. I just don't like how they have the preset menu. I can go ahead and make my own preset of it and save it inside here. So let's add another oscillator to this. Save preset as. Call it random preset number 2. Save it. Now when I come over here under my generators tab, you'll see that there's fire and I have preset right here. I can drag it in and it's saved like that. There's also that bass preset that I used earlier today right there as well. So yeah, this mechanism just makes it easier for me to, if I'm using FL a lot, not have to go through some of the terrible preset managers that some plugins have. The one on Inspire is okay, but there's ones that are much worse that like they're just unbearable. So just save them right here instead of having to go through their own preset menu. I'm just gonna live stream for 5 more minutes. If you guys have any more questions down below. A major key. Oh my god. Yeah, so my idea with this is to have a live stream once a month for just for lecturing like this, and then we had have another live stream where it's a group of us together, and we just talk about things FL and share each other's projects and stuff like that. That's at least my idea. So 1 week, that's, and then 2-3 weeks later the other one. Ooh, mastering. That's a good question, but that's one for another day. But we can just see have a hover of give an overview of the Maximus plugin. That's the built-in maximizer inside of yeah. So the way this guy works is there's 3 compressors. There's a low, a mid, and a high. You can change the band section right here, which frequencies it's affecting right here. You can also change the level. Now notice how when you move this guy, it changes the pre-gain on it. There's also the post-gain, which is not shown right here, but this is the pre-gain right here. So the pre-gain is the stuff going into the compressor. The post is the level of it going out, right? So when you have a track, let's open up a one of the demos that I had. And let's make sure I have that delay taken off. I had there. I don't want any delay. I will lower this down. Make sure my and live stream is good. Let's go to this Maximus. Okay, so let's make this a bit smaller so I can get out of it. For the default. There's a lot of presets here that it comes included. I like max loudness, no saturation, simply because it makes everything louder, but it does not add saturation. And after I load that, what I prefer to do is bring down the pre-gain on all these guys, because I don't want to be distorting. So I'll just the pre-gain, and I should be pretty happy with that. Then also make sure that my mids are not being cut off, because sometimes depending on how much pre-gain you have, it will really affect doing. Also, bring some of this back down because I don't need that much low end. Now, the way this guy works, it's actually a compressor, wave shaping compressor. So you can either use it to compress or you can use it to expand waves. So when you saw earlier that I have the lows over here, that means that anything below 200 hertz that was at this level 18 was now louder than it was before. Everything that was 19 louder than it was before, right? You can see, for example, we have 18, or actually it should be written like this. This is minus 18 dB coming in, and this is what's coming out. So if I were to have up here, this means that anything that was 18 dB right here now is actually 9 dB. Also, like if anything that was 3 dB right here, bring it down, now it's going to be playing at minus 18 dB. So you can look at it like a graph. It's a very advanced compressor. Again, this would be a whole different topic by itself, but essentially with mastering, what you really want to be doing is just touching the you want to be really doing too much. If your master's not sounding that great, we'll look back at your mix. Simply because when you have don't have a good mix and you start to compress more, start to add more distortion, start to limit things, do the clicks of things, increase the level of the mud that was already there, so you're not actually cleaning anything up, you're just making things louder. So you need a master for your mix. Make sure that your mix is nice and tight, and it will be transparent in any playback system. But then you also have to worry about other streaming services like YouTube, Spotify. So people actually have multiple masters now, and that's all I'm gonna get into right now because it's a huge topic, a huge topic. There's actually companies that just exist for the sole purpose of having your audio coming out of your system best way possible. So companies like Digital Audio have plugins that are specifically designed to make sure that your EQ and your limiting and your compressions coming out the cleanest way as possible before actually getting played back in the real world. Oh, how to turn some of those MIDI files into audio? Very simple. Let's grab one of the things that we broke down. Let's grab the piano and go to the piano, right click on it and select render. Again, I select the piano, go to the pattern picker, select render and replace, or render as audio clip. If you render and replace, we'll replace what is going on here. Where now I clicked to not replace it, to just export it, but it's not available right here, right? Or I could have rendered and replaced it. Again, I'm making sure I have the piano selected, render and replace, and it will get rid of that. It won't get rid of it. It will just remove it from the playlist and replace it with the actual piano audio. or whatever that synth was. See, this is where you need to be organized and name things properly. We go back to that pattern, which was the piano one. It's still there. It's not deleted. It was removed from the playlist and replaced with this guy. So that's how you do it. You could also, let's say, if you want to bounce a whole drum loop thing, like let's say you only had you only wanted the drums from there. I'm not even picking the right ones. All right, let's say you only wanted the drums. You can right click on here, consolidate this track. When the song starts, you can bounce that whole loop of drums right there. Seconds, and there you go. Right, so I'm gonna have to call it a day. Did a 2-hour live stream almost. That's pretty good for the first day. We covered a lot of topics. Go ahead and if you miss any of the live stream, go ahead and watch it later. Because I cover everything from when you start making a song. So everything from putting in an instrument to actually starting to get a mix using send buses, putting things on your master channel, coloring things and naming them. I covered all that first part. Then I also talked about the FPC. So quickly again, loading plugins or audio into your FPC and using the SliceX as a loop editor, loop manipulator.